Howdy, and welcome to Pastor Billy Joe Hillbilly's Tidbits, episode 2. This particular horse I have beaten. In fact, unfortunately, I beat the poor critter to death. I have beaten it to death, and I am continuing to beat this horse because I think it's extremely important that you give this some thought. Yes, Pastor Hillbilly again is going to talk about proving God's existence. So if you've heard this all before and you've internalized it, okay, well, just try another video. Anyway, but this is important. God is outside the realm of the physical. We are physical. So I don't see a direct way to prove his existence. Because again, we're physical, he's outside of that. That's not to say God can't make his presence known if he chooses to. In fact, God became a man and came to earth. So he was here physically among us. Some might say, well, they might say that, and they might say that too. They might say, why didn't he come down in his heavenly, non-corporeal, non-physical, whatever the right term is, non-physical body? Why didn't he come down as God? And then he could prove to us that he existed. And then there wouldn't be any doubt, there wouldn't be any question, we would know. That, if he had done that, that would basically, in my way of seeing it, would basically kick free will in the nuts. Because see, one of the greatest gifts, or maybe curses, humans have received is free will. It's a gift. Because God gave it to us. And so it's a gift. Sometimes I wonder if maybe it's not the best choice, but did God need a group of mindless robots just to, do what he said and free will? So if God came to earth outside of the physical, outside of a physical body, then you pretty much couldn't deny it. Oh my goodness, well, oh my word. So you wouldn't have the choice of believing or not believing. But even though God currently is not walking the planet in a physical form, as far as I know, that's not to say there isn't proof that he exists. I mean, to me, nature proves he exists. Space, the universe. Wow, if you've not, go online and try to find some of these really amazing images made by the Hubble Space Telescope. And just do your little reading. Wikipedia might be a place to start, but anyway, look, try to get a sort of a basic feel for the nearly infinite universe we exist in. How many thousands, millions of galaxies and millions of stars in each galaxy, and how et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That to me screams the existence of God. And I hear it. I hope you can as well. But again, there's not a way to physically prove the existence of God that I know of, except again by indirect means, by looking at the stars and the planets and the earth and the miracle of life, all that good stuff. But I really want, if you don't believe in the existence of God, I want you to consider this and think on this for a moment. The inability to prove that God exists is not proof that he doesn't. Let's say it again. Or you can back it up and hear it again. The fact that I cannot prove to you that God exists is not proof that he doesn't. So don't take it that way. There's a lot of things I can't prove that they exist. I don't guess I really have direct proof that I have a great, 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 great grandmother. I'm sure there's one back there somewhere in my history, I'm assuming, but direct evidence? No. It's not a great example, I'm sure, but anyway, it's trying to make a point. But so many people say, well, you can't prove God exists, and so he must not. Well, that's ridiculous. Now you can take the reverse of that and say, well, because you can't prove that God doesn't exist, that doesn't mean he does. But see, I know he does. The only way I have to prove it, the only way Christians have to prove it to non-believers is to show that they are different because of their relationship with God. It's really about the only thing that I know of. I haven't given it a lot of thought, so just off the top of my head, that's one thing. Christians are supposed to, show that love of God by acting a little different than the norm, by being a little outside of the world, but yet part of it. And they fail miserably, by the way, as has been covered in other episodes of this particular series, and also A Time to Think. Or will be if I haven't touched on that topic yet. But anyway, if you do not believe that God exists, I implore you, I beg you, prove it. Prove it. Prove he doesn't exist. It's pretty important, because if he does, and he does, I promise you, guarantee it, 100%, no doubt, no question, none, he exists. If you don't believe he exists, and you die without ever turning away from your sin and turning to him, you're just going to meet him briefly, and then you're out of there. And I'll tell you more about hell later. It's a real unpleasant kind of place. I mean, beyond anything you can imagine. Way beyond anything you can imagine. Prove God doesn't exist. Because see, when you die and you face him, saying, well, God, nobody could prove to me that you existed, so I assumed you didn't. That ain't going to help. That won't get you anywhere. And at that point, you're SOL. Shoo out of luck. Don't let it happen to you. Please. Please. Don't let that happen. If you don't believe there's a God, prove there isn't. Prove it. It's pretty important. Don't depend on people that you call ignorant. Most non-believers consider Christians as ignorant, or believers as ignorant. So if you think I'm ignorant, I couldn't prove anything to you. If I could prove it to you, I couldn't prove it to you. Because it's sort of, at that point, it's sort of a choice kind of thing. So, if you don't believe in God, you might want to take a few moments just to, prove that to yourself. Prove there isn't one. Consider maybe what does it matter if there is? Oh, it matters. It matters in eternity. An eternity. Well, that's it for today. Or for this video. I'm not anywhere near finished for the day. It's early. But that's it for the video. Thank you for watching.